All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are Momos with a camera, Momos with a scooter still.
Still got the scooter.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some wrestling topics. So, Momos with a camera wrestling edition.
Recorded live. Well, coming to you live, recorded, right?
Exactly. This program was brought to you in front of a recorded audience.
Right.
So, so we're going to do our top five.
Cool, yeah.
Talk about some more wrestling stories again.
Oh, we love that. Some funny ones, I hope.
Yeah, so, met Roman Reigns. My first funny story, met Roman Reigns. He was pretty cool. I heard he's kind of a dick now, but to each his own, I guess. I'm glad I got him early.
I only met Roman once at the airport. He had his headphones on, and he was willing to sign for everybody. He wouldn't take no pictures. I mean, I could respect that. But, he signed. He was cool, It's like, that's how it should be, If the guy was willing to, if any of these guys are willing to autograph, get an autograph and just move on, right?
Yeah. Another funny Shawn Michaels story.
Uh-oh.
When I met him and we were getting autographs and stuff like that at the hotel, he came out and said, "Oh, man, I remember when it was only just ladies at the hotel."
I remember that. I remember the time that we followed, we saw Shawn walk into the back elevator of the hotel, and we're like speed walking behind him, And when he gets on the elevator, like, he turns and faces, and I was about to get on the elevator, and he looks at me and he goes, "Don't even think about getting on this elevator." And I was like, all right, But when he came down later, he was super cool. He signed for all of us. That was the time that our boy Tom asked him for a hug, remember?
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Yeah, Tom loves Shawn Michaels. Like,
HBK right here, right?
That's his number one.
Yeah, I think so.
His all-time fave, HBK. So, he was kind of sad. I got a hug from Jeff.
Oh, I don't think I've gotten a hug from any of these guys. I haven't asked, but hey, if you guys are cool about asking for a hug from these guys, cool.
I got the homie hug.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the bro hug is cool.
It wasn't no two hands.
Right. Yeah. Oh shit.
So, I got that. Jared, what about you? Any crazy? I know you were around for that, but yeah. I know you've been graphing for a while. So.
Oh man, like, what we throwing out? Funny stories, good stories.
Let's hear.
I see you got The Rock there.
Oh man.
So the only one time that I met The Rock, and I guess this kind of falls under one of those stories where it's like, man, you really want to meet the person, but then I wouldn't say disappointed, but should I paint a picture?
Go ahead.
Let's paint a picture. Let's do a Bob Ross. All right. So you and I believe Tom or James already had seen him at the airport. So I hadn't. And, I got to the hotel and, I heard The Rock was going to his hotel, and there's at least 35 people standing in the lobby. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, The Rock is there. He's got a couple bodyguards. He's got a couple cops that are escorting him. And, I was like in amazement, like, this dude is really fucking tall in person. I thought Hogan was tall in person, but Rock, I've met some of the tall guys like Big Show, and you expect them to be that tall. But when I saw Rock, I was like, damn, this dude's tall, And I'll never forget. So I have the Rolling Stone cover with The Rock on it. And I was like, man, I've got a lot of magazines and figures with The Rock. And I was like, man, if I could get this one thing signed, I think it'd be pretty cool, because nobody will probably ever ask for that to get graphed. So, he's making his way through, and, everybody's just like got their arm out with stuff. And I'm the only person that he grabbed their magazine. You remember? So he grabs my magazine and grabs my marker, and, you know, I see him signing, and he gives it right back. I was thinking, damn, that was quick. So I look at the magazine, and it says DJ. And I'm like, I mean, well, shit, for one, that's my initials backwards. But I was like, wow, really? I mean, this one dude I really wanted to meet, finally met him. You know, I was blown away. And the one time I could have probably ever got his autograph, and all he did was put his initials. I mean, nothing cool. No, nothing like The Rock or even Dwayne Johnson, but DJ. And I was like, wow, I mean, what do I do with that? I mean, that's not one of the magazines I can go home and brag about and frame in my garage or in my basement and say, hey, I met DJ. You know, I mean, be like, who? You know?
Yeah, so Rock, if you want to come on the podcast and explain yourself.
I mean, Rock, man, I mean, maybe I can bring that magazine to you and you could like do like another, you know, initial or something, or not an initial, but like something above or around the initial. I mean, we're talking about autographs. I've had a couple doozies, right?
Man, leave it to Jerry. She gets the DJ autograph, and then
I mean, we meet these guys. We got no problem doing that. They got no problem taking pictures with us. But I mean, I don't get it when it comes to the actual autograph. I mean, what's so hard? I mean, if you got, you know, two names, you can write two names, you know. You could be like Cena and just write a damn symbol, or Sasha Banks, you know, how they do that. And it's like, okay, you know, Cena's got the star now, you know.
Hey,
but
if I ever meet Cena again, I'm going to tell him.
Stop drawing that damn star.
I'm going to say, look, I want an old school, authentic Cena autograph, because I was there in Chicago when he debuted, and I was in the nosebleeds. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan.
Right.
So give me an old school autograph.
Hell yeah. So let's kick off another story. So you and I had gone to Rockford once. We got a bunch of autographs, you know, as the guys are leaving the arena to the parking lot, or from the parking lot to the arena. I mean, it's like open door. I mean, there's really nothing there for them to like hold back and say no. I mean,
yeah, there's no fence, no nothing. It's
no.
just open.
So, I mean, you can literally walk right up to them, and, you know, we've done that, and they've been cool. We've taken pictures of them, and I got a picture of Chris Masters up there. So I took a picture of him. He was cool. Went about his way. You and I were at a show in Waukesha, and they were doing, autograph signings there, and Chris Masters happened to be there. So, you know, I walk up to the table, pay my $10, and Chris Masters, he looks at the picture, and he's like, oh, wow. He goes, where's this at? And I say, it's in Rockford. He goes, oh, really? He goes, oh, okay. He goes, when was this? And I told him, you know, when it was. And he's like, oh, cool. So then he asked me my name, and I said, Jerry. So, you know, I give him $10. He goes to sign the picture, and instead of, you know, making it out to me, to Jerry, that's me. Hi, Chris Masters. So he writes to Rockford, and I'm like, oh no, that's not my name. He goes, what? And I was like, no, this was in Rockford. You wrote to Rockford. I'm not Rockford. I'm Jerry. He goes, oh right, you're Jerry. This was in Rockford. I was like, yeah. So it sounds like a crazy ass story, but, you know, it's better, you know, paint a picture when you got the actual picture. So this is Chris Masters, you know, you remember? Yep. So he writes in Rockford, or to Rockford, and you could see where he changed the to the word in. So he writes in Rockford, and I was like, okay. But I mean, again, the guy was super cool about it, and I guess he felt bad because of the way he, you know, did the picture or did the autograph. He told me, he's like, you know, sorry about that. He's like, do you want to pick any picture here? And I was like, no, that's fine. He goes, no. He goes, here, how about this one? And he just picked one, and signed away for me. I was like, oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, another crazy wrestling story. I've got one. So, me and Abdul are at the Allstate Arena back then, Rosemont Horizon. This is 95, and the Smoking Guns are there. You know, Bart Gunn and Billy Gunn. So I took the picture I had of Billy Gunn, blew it up. Years, many moons later, we went to that same show where Chris Masters was, and, New Age Outlaws were there. So I saw Billy Gunn there, walk up to him, pay my $10. And, he signed the picture that I blew up. And he's like, wow, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, man, this is from, Rosemont Horizon back in 95, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, nice, thanks. So, give him my money. He signs. I, go about my way. And the next day, I'm putting away my autographed pictures and things like that. And I'm like, what the hell's all this black shit on my hands, So I'm like, must be ink. So I'm like, oh shit, did I mess up one of my pictures? So I go back and I look, and lo and behold, Billy Gunn signs with a dry erase marker. I mean, who does that? Let's just show the people out there. So this is what it looks like when you get an autograph with the dry erase marker. Am I right? And I don't want to smear any more of it, because even though it's been, some many moons, it could still come off. I mean, hey, Billy, it's not a chalkboard. It's gloss paper, 8x10. But maybe I can get you to sign it again, with a regular Sharpie.
Now, I remember talking about bad markers, too. I remember I gave, was it RVD? He was signing a thing and my marker was dying, and he's like, oh, bro, man, this marker sucks.
Yeah, it probably was. I have a autograph with from RVD on a magazine where it's kind of light blue on the magazine, so it might have been the same time.
Man, I remember, speaking of markers, every autographs I had, like especially magazines, they went through phases. Like for a long time, blue sucked on magazines. They would bubble. It was just pure shit. So like, silver was the color to get. Right. Always get silver, always get silver, and then all of a sudden, silver started becoming shit, and blue started coming back.
And blue was great on 8x10s, right?
Yeah. Like blue's awesome now, but silver's still shit. Yeah. Now I like my paint pens. Like I love my paint pens. Yeah. It comes out crisp, comes out clear.
James has some good paint pens, but you gotta give it right back to him. Yeah. Any comment on that?
Yeah, don't mess with James and his paint pens. Oh, he's got a stack.
Right, he'll come find you. He'll hunt you down. So, shout out to James, right?
Yep, James. I love James paint pens. Thanks, James, for letting me borrow them. Oh yeah, man. So, but yeah, other than that, like, man.
You had any mishaps on an autograph?
Just a couple markers that like kind of suck. My Torrie Wilson one's up there. You probably can't see it because it's a little bit far, but that one's bubbled a little bit on that Playboy. My Hardy Boys ones, they signed it twice. Jeff signed it twice in black, and you really couldn't see it, so he signed over it in the silver. Oh yeah. It didn't come out too bad, but. I met The Rock. He's it's just an R and a squiggle. I didn't get the DJ. I just got the R squiggle. Oh. Couple. They got Bray Wyatt. He just gave me the BW.
I saw Bray Wyatt outside of Hooters. He kind of ran from all of us.
That was funny.
Yeah, but I met Bray once when he first came out, and I mean he was a cool dude. Took a picture with me. Nice guy.
Husky Harris?
Yeah, no. When he was, with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
When he was Bray.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super cool dude. Trying to see who else. Saw. Obviously, we talked about Stone Cold episode last week. Met Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake, I met him at an indie show.
I never met him. I wish I would, man. Jake's on the top 5 tonight.
For real?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that came out was super funny was he was signing, and obviously he's got that permanent marker. He kept drawing Jake the Snake handlebar mustaches on all the kids.
Oh,
that
shit.
Permanent marker.
Oh, man. Man. Good old Jake, man.
He was like, yeah, let me draw a mustache on you. He would draw. So that was pretty funny. And then it was weird. I was like in this show in Indiana, like in the middle like country. And this was when the encyclopedia kind of first dropped.
Okay.
The first one, there's like 8 of them now.
I think I remember this story.
And I gave him the encyclopedia to sign, and he kept wanting me to buy his figure, and I was like, I'm good, bro.
And a DVD, you said.
He it's like this homemade, hand printed DVD. Actually, I have that.
I would buy it.
No, he kept wanting me to buy it. I was like, nah, man, I'm not gonna do it. Like I'm good, bro.
I mean, you mean homemade as in there's wrestling on there, right? Not like him hanging around the house,
I've never seen it. Watch it.
Okay, yeah.
So like he kept wanting me to buy his figure, and he kept wanting. I was like, look, I just came here to get my encyclopedia signed. Like I'm not buying anything else. Like I'm good. And then so he eventually just gave me that DVD. He's like, here, you can just have it. So I just waited until the end of the night, and I was like, hey, can you sign this too? I wasn't gonna pay again. Like
Jake, man, I think Jake would come on the show, right?
Maybe Jake, you want to come on the show?
Wait,
you gotta leave the snake
Jake,
at home though.
Jake's on the shirt, right?
Yeah,
Can you all see? Right,
he's there with Brutus.
Yeah.
What if he said that the snake's gotta come on though?
Oh, I mean, I'm not scared of snakes. Go ahead. I mean, we put the snake on the table. It's big enough, know.
I'm not scared of snakes, but I don't want to be around. I don't want to put myself in that situation either.
Come on now.
So, but yeah, Jake, we can talk.
Yeah. Hey, you remember a time were you there when we met Eric Bischoff?
I think it was when we were like knew each other.
Okay.
But not like actually hanging out.
We had him like met.
Yeah.
We've crossed each other. Yeah. Okay. Probably. But man, because we were talking earlier about the mishaps with the autographs and stuff like that. But I wanted to throw this in there. So Eric Bischoff, man, cool dude. I mean, I don't know what to say.
He's never said no to me.
No, I mean, I've only met him once, but like, I'm just watching this dude, like, sign away for everybody. And he said no, he didn't say no to anybody. And there were a lot of people. So I have a magazine at the time, and it's, Monday Night Wars, right? Raw versus Nitro. So there's a magazine that I had with Vince on the cover, and he's facing Bischoff. So I was like, hey, what's up, Eric? He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, hey, can I get an autograph? He's like, yeah, sure. So I give him my magazine, and I see that he signs away. So I was like, cool. But instead of giving him back, he starts to doodle. And I'm like, wait, what's this guy doing? So I see horns going on Vince and like some other marking on Vince's face. And I'm like, this dude's fucking up my magazine. It's like, what are you doing? But it's like, do I get mad because the guy just signed for me? And it's like, okay, now he's drawing devil horns on Vince. I'm like, oh, shit. Now I can't get Vince to sign it, However, I was like, I end up, he gave me the magazine. I'm like, it is what it is. He goes, here you go. And just grinned at me. I'm like, thanks. But, I met Vince again. And I asked Vince, for an autograph. And, Vince only usually signs one thing.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get these two things signed. So the first time I had met Vince, I took a picture with him. So I cropped myself out, blew the picture up to 8x10, and I'm asking Vince to sign that picture. So I'm also explaining to him, hey, Vince, Bischoff drew devil horns on you, and a goatee, whatever. Will you still sign it? And he just laughs, He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just took it. So he takes both of them and he signs. And after he signs the magazine, he puts the 8x10 on top and signs the 8x10 and hands it back to me. But because he put the picture on top, he smeared the autograph. And I'm like, well, so the one on the magazine he smeared. The one on the 8x10 still looks good. I mean, I got them both. So here's the picture that Vince signed, So really nice about it. And here's the magazine that, well, you see Bischoff signed, and then he draws a beard and goatee and, he blacks out Vince's, that's what he did, not the devil horns, but he blacks out Vince's eyes. And because Vince, put the picture over, I mean, you can see Bischoff and then what he did to Vince, and then, Vince signed, and when Vince goes to sign this is what happens on the back, the paint comes off. Vince, can I please get another autograph with this? Come on the show, right?
Yeah, Vince, come on the show. Has he ever done like Stone Cold or Jericho's podcast?
He's done a podcast with Stone Cold, not the Broken Skull session, but he's done the podcast with Stone Cold, yeah.
So Vince, you want to be in my mouth?
Come on down.
Come on down.
Or at least hit the subscribe, Vince, Man, I got one more crazy story that autographing that I do want to share. And we're talking about my boy Goldust. Dustin Runnels,
Big Dusty or the other one?
No, Little Dusty. But I've met Dusty Rhodes.
I never met him.
Man, super, super nice dude. I got a picture of him, blew that up to 8x10, got that graphed one day. Real nice guy, R.I.P. Dust. Can we have a... There we go. To you, Dusty. Stir the pot. All right, so back to Goldust. So this is WrestleMania 22 weekend in Chicago, and man, we've got so many autographs, and we had gotten kicked out of the hotel. You remember which hotel, obviously.
Yeah.
So, because security just had enough, of people approaching the wrestlers and saying, just here for an autograph, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. So they were telling people, do not come back into the hotel. We will call police, whatnot. So I had, said, okay, whatever. Made my way into the hotel again and followed Kane and got an autograph from Kane, and he was real cool about it. And security saw me and, bitched me out and said, if you come back in, we're going to call the police. We already warned you, blah, blah, blah. And so we go to sit inside the car, and we're like, what do we do? And we're like, if we can get them outside, we'll stop them there. So anyhow, we're sitting in the car. There's like 6 of us, or if not more. And here comes Goldust, and everyone's like, oh, nobody needed them except me, because I had an 8x10 of Goldust from a time, I met him earlier. So I was like, damn, I'm like flipping through my stuff, looking for the picture. And you guys are like, oh, by the time you find the picture, he's going to be in the hotel. So sure enough, I find the picture, and I'm hauling ass to that door to catch up to this guy. So he's right about in between the doors, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I go inside the hotel anyway, and I was like, hey, Goldust. And he turns around, and I think he had a couple drinks, you could tell. But I guess, I don't know if maybe he's like one of those guys that after a couple drinks, he's like a happy dude. But man, he was super like nice. I mean, I've met Goldust like on 3 occasions.
Yeah.
He's been cool every single time. But like this time, he was like super chatty. And I was like, oh. And here I am. Again, I'm trying to run in the hotel, get my autograph, and get the hell out of there, before security calls the police on me. So I was like, hey, would you mind an autograph? And he's like, yeah, sure. He goes, how's it going? And I'm like, I'm good. How about you? He's like, oh, good. And he goes, what are you up to? And I'm like, I'm just trying to get this picture autographed. He's like, oh, cool. And he goes, where's this from? And I told him, he's like, oh, cool. So he's just like, staring at this picture. I'm like, oh, please just start signing so I can get the hell back. He starts to sign Goldust. I'm like, perfect. Let me get the hell out of here. And then he's like, oh, so you going to the show tomorrow? And I'm like, no, I'm going to watch it on pay-per-view. He's like, oh, okay. But then he's more chatty, and I was like, oh, cool. And then, I said, oh, how's your dad? And then he's like, oh, he's good, and then he starts talking about his dad. And I'm like, oh. But then I noticed, like, he's wearing more shit on this picture. I'm like, oh, man, he's cool. He's wearing more stuff. But again, I mean, I was cool, but at the same time, I needed to get out of there because security was tight that weekend. You remember?
Yeah. So
I was like, ah, shit. So, he's like, oh, well, enjoy the pay-per-view. And then he asked me something else. He's, about wrestling. And I was like, oh, yeah, this and that. And I'm like, and I was like, well, thanks a lot, I wasn't trying to cut the dude short, but, man, I didn't want to, have the cops show up either, But, again, cool dude, Goldust. So he writes on here, Goldust, WWE, 2006, WrestleMania, Chi-Town, 02, or Chi-Town 22. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of writing. But, I mean, I appreciate this dude, Yeah. Most guys just want to do a little scribble. This dude actually took the time to write all this. And I appreciate that. Look at that. I mean, that's a cool dude, We did shout out to Big Dusty. Shout out to Goldust, too, Man, all day.
You ever meet Cody?
I met Cody. I met Cody once. He was super nice. I met him coming into a hotel and, gave him a picture of him and Ted DiBiase. And, he signed and, he told me thank you. I was like, no, thank you,
Yeah, super cool dude.
I do have a picture of him and Goldust together that Goldust signed, but I need Cody to sign that one. So
AEW's coming back. Maybe you finish that off.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, for sure. I met Cody. He's a super cool dude. I never met Big Dusty. It's probably one of the ones that I would love to have met.
Yeah,
for sure.
He was cool.
For sure. So what about this top 5?
Oh man,
I know last week we talked about top 5 people we would have met. I mean, Big Dusty's probably up there for me.
Oh yeah,
I never met him.
Yeah, I mean, Big Dusty is he was a great promoter. He was a great he was a good guy in the ring. He had some battles and wars with Ric Flair. And we're talking back in NWA days with, these two guys in the steel cage. But, man, he had a real good mind for the business,
Mm-hmm. Jake Roberts is probably one that you said definitely wanted to meet.
Oh, yeah. I would love to meet Jake. Man, I'd probably ask him, like, some questions about, like, what the hell was this guy thinking when he says certain things or, when he's come promos, but I was watching the not King of the Ring, the on the Vice channel. So Dark Side of the Ring, not King of the Ring. So the episode with Jake the Snake, I mean, he was, he talked about when he was cutting a promo and man, that's who he was. He turned off, you know,
Jake Roberts.
that Aurelian Smith, which is, you know, his name. He said he put that guy away. He was just Jake, you know, from now on. But yeah, I love to meet Jake. Jake, if you want to come on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Come on down. But he's definitely going to be on the top 5 tonight. But you know, talking about a top 5, what about you know, I wouldn't say that this I don't think this guy gets enough credit for his wrestling. I mean, he probably does, but I think the thing is he comes and goes, and I think, you know, I'm talking about Shane McMahon.
Yeah, don't they say if you can wrestle Shane McMahon, it's an honor?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's one of those things that, you know, the locker room talks about being to wrestle Shane.
Right. And I was thinking about, you know, top 5 like Shane McMahon moments. I mean, he's got a bunch, you know, whether it's with AJ Styles or, I mean.
Yeah, one of my favorites is definitely Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens.
Oh yeah, that's a good one with KO.
How do you feel about Shane versus Braun? I didn't really care for that, honestly. He was like, Braun.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much made it out like a whole, you know, Tom and Jerry type skit, like, you know, cat chases mouse. I mean, you know, Shane like rib him or whatever, and then, you know, you see him running down the ramp or out of the locker room, you know, from Braun, and, you know, Braun's going crazy, kind of like the way, you know, on Tom and Jerry's show, you know, Tom's all losing his mind because Jerry did some prank on him. I mean, that's kind of, I don't think they really needed to do those two, you know?
Yeah. It was more like you couldn't wait for Braun to stomp on Shane, you know, like
Yeah.
there's all they were hyping it up just for that.
Right.
You know, and so you knew it was gonna happen.
Right. Should we do a top 5
Top
Shane?
5 Shane, yeah, so it's one of mine up there, you know, Shane versus Kevin Owens.
Okay.
I like Kevin Owens as a wrestler. He's
Nice. Yeah, I like him. I think he's I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves.
no,
you know?
not at all. Yeah, I mean, he's going to probably be great in AEW.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead if you want me to kick it off, or you want to kick it off.
I kicked it off with that.
Okay.
The other good one I'd probably say what I really enjoyed was Shane versus Undertaker.
Oh yeah, that was good.
It's another good one.
WrestleMania 32.
Funny story about Shane. When I met him, one of the fans asked him, "Hey, can you do the dance?"
Oh, the shuffle.
The shovel.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, every time I do that, my dad finds me."
Oh man, look at Vince, always trying to get that money out of somebody, right?
Yeah, he was super cool when I met him. Like the only McMahon I haven't met was Steph. Like I've seen her.
Yeah.
I've never gotten her autograph or a picture with her.
Okay. I've seen her twice where, you know, she couldn't stop because of Triple H, and I've seen her once by herself where she did stop and she signed a magazine. She was cool, you know?
Yeah. She signed a magazine for James once, and I was like fumbling through the encyclopedia. I looked under S, I looked under M, I couldn't find her. And she was in the car already, and then she was like waiting for me. And I just like, after fumbling around, and like I just closed my book and I gave up, and I was like, I'm sorry. And she just like gave it like the shrug and just drove off.
You kind of closed the book the way I did with Chavo. Yeah. We'll get to that a little bit later, maybe, or another time.
So what do you got for your Shane moments?
So let's do a backwards countdown. 5. Shane crashes through the Spanish announcers table at WrestleMania 17. So it's Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon, and Vince is on the table, and Stephanie pulls Vince away, and Shane just go crashing through the table from the top pole. Nice hot spot, you know?
Yeah.
It was good. That's the one thing about Shane is Shane does really good high spots, you know? And, I mean, he'll probably he's definitely going to go down in the books for that, you know? Number 4, I've got Shane hits the leap of faith from the Titantron onto the Big Show. And I remember this clear as day because I went to this pay-per-view, Backlash, April 2001. So we had pretty good seats, and Shane climbs the Titantron, and he does a leap of faith onto a Big Show in the backstage area. And that was the first time I had met him and Vince after the show. And I was thinking, man, this dude's going to be all banged up and this and that, you know? And I mean, he seemed okay, you know? I think he had a little tiny bit of a limp, but man, if that were me falling from up there, I'd need that scooter right now, you know? Number 3, Shane versus Kurt Angle at King of the Ring 2001.
Oh, when he went through the glass, or he didn't go through the glass?
Man, it took so, and I guess Vince was mad about that spot, right? Is because the first time that Angle tried to do the German suplex on him, he should have went through that glass, and he didn't. And it took a second time, and I mean, that was a great spot. I mean, the fact that Shane puts his life and, you know, his body on the line for these kind of spots, I mean, and that was early on that he did it. We're talking 2001. I mean, how many spots has he done, you know, since that?
Yeah. He's definitely taking some hard bumps.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Number 2 is, again, WrestleMania 17, Vince versus Shane McMahon. And, man, everybody remembers this when Vince has the garbage can on him, and he's just sitting in the corner, and Shane hits the coast to coast from one end of the ring to the other end of the ring, from one top pole, and just the way this guy lands, I mean, no, I don't know anybody else could have hit that spot, you know? Like, he made it look like $1 million. Number 1 I've got it's WrestleMania 32. Shane McMahon risking it all, does a sign of the cross, says a quick shout-out prayer, and he goes to jump on Taker from the top of the Hell in the Cell cage, and, you know, Taker moved. And again, Shane goes crashing through that table, but, man, you know, the things that he's willing to do for the business, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you even know what's the highest anyone's ever jumped? Does Shane have that record?
I don't know if he's got the highest. So think about when I can't recall which pay-per-view. I don't know if it was a SummerSlam, but Jeff Hardy versus Zumaga. Jeff Hardy climbs onto one of the top of the trucks and does a swanton bomb onto Umaga. Another time, Jeff actually climbs the Titantron, and he does a swanton bomb, not from like the first, you know, rafter, but like the next panel as he's going up, and he hit it on Randy Orton on a Monday Night Raw. So I don't know. It's between Jeff and Shane McMahon as far as the highest spot to hit a move.
Yeah, if you know, definitely comment.
Yeah, leave us a comment, please.
Definitely like to know. Like, interesting. I mean, that's a fact that I definitely would like to know.
Yeah, same here.
So Shane, I mean, I love it. He comes out in them Jordans too. I'm jealous of his Jordan collection.
Yeah, I don't know. You think he'd give up a shoe if you asked?
Nah.
Oh, he ain't like he's not like the NBA guys handing out their shoes.
Nah. I mean, I've seen he did a sneaker show that I watch where he goes in and buys a bunch of shoes. I think he bought like 3 pairs of shoes, only three pairs of Jordans, and came out to like $3,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or no, not even 32,000. I want to say.
Were they autographed by Jordan?
No, they're just old school. Like, I think he got himself a pair of Band Games, which are really expensive. I want those shoes so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he was talking about like, oh, I wore the. He was like walking around with the Jordans. He was like, yeah, I wore these over at he was naming like the pay-per-views and always wearing the Jordans.
Yeah. Shout out to Shane, man, if you want to come on.
For sure, Shane.
right?
I'll show you my Jordan collection.
Right. I mean, I ain't got no Jordans, but I'll show you my shoes.
Yeah, I got a nice set. So obviously it's not the McMahon Jordan collection, but you can see the LeBoy collection.
Oh yeah.
So Shane, if you want to be a honorable Momos, more than happy to have you on.
We got enough chairs if you want to come on, right?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. So, what other top fives you got? I know one of the things you text me about earlier in the week.
Dream matches.
Top 5 dream matches.
Man, we got to talk about dream matches because, like, I'm sure you've played enough wrestling video games, on the PS4 or whatever, and, you might want to play Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins versus, like, Ultimate Warrior or Macho Man or something like that, and then you start thinking, like if you're thinking dream match, it could be somebody that's, still alive, somebody that's dead, versus anybody. And so I got 5 that I came up with. So number 5, man, I hate to start off with the tie, but we got to start off with the tie. What you think? Number 5, I'm going to start off with Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, versus Rowdy Roddy Piper. I mean, these are 2 guys that are just, like, really lost in the head, right? And, like, I think they can, like, stand there and just punch the hell out of each other without doing anything else, but just, like, beating the shit out of each other in the middle of the ring. And I tie that with The Rock versus Randy Macho Man Savage. I mean, Rock is a guy that's great on the mic. He can cut a promo like nobody's business, right? Just give him a subject and he'll just go off. Same with Macho Man. Macho Man, so Mean Gene, he likes working with, he liked working with Hogan and he liked working with Macho Man because a guy like Macho Man cuts a promo like in one take. There's no second or third or fourth take. I mean, he does one take because he's a perfectionist the same way he is in the ring. I mean, this guy, he can put on a 5-star match, and we know what The Rock can do. So, number 4, I've got Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid, right here, versus Eddie Guerrero. We got him on the end, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Shawn Michaels, showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, he could put on a hell of a match against anybody.
That's one of mine. Eddie's in mine, but I say Eddie versus CM Punk.
That's pretty good. I mean, I guess Eddie can go basically against any of the, current roster guys, whether it's from AEW or, WWE. I mean, he was a good, technical wrestler. So, yeah, definitely, I'd love to see Shawn, back in the day, Shawn versus Eddie, if that could have ever happened, man. Number 3, I've got dream match, Snake versus Viper. And I'm talking about Jake the Snake Roberts versus Randy Orton. And I'm talking about Jake in his prime, mid 80s, 85, 86, 87, where Jake was on top, man. I mean, he was killing them against guys like, let's see, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or, who else? Honky Tonk Man, and Jake, man, his ring psychology is way up there. But a guy like Orton, I mean, he's called the Viper for a reason, right? He's a sneaky dude, and he could play those same head games with somebody. Number 2, I've got teacher versus student, and I'm talking about, again, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, this is a guy that taught Daniel Bryan,
right?
A lot of what he knows. Well, I mean, what would you say about that match?
I think that's a really good one. I didn't even think about that, but
Yeah.
definitely,
And we're talking about Shawn in his prime,
right.
against current Daniel Bryan, who's on fire right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. But number one that I've got, and you know, I'm sure a few people I've talked to, they wouldn't even think about, either of these guys. But I've got the guy that's on top right now. He's on fire. He's been on fire, whether it's in AEW or whether it was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm talking about Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, man, I mean, guy's got, the titles. Uh, Man, he's badass in the ring. He can do just about anything. And Kenny Omega versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And I'm talking about Ricky back in his prime days, his NWA days, where he put on hour-long matches against a guy like Ric Flair. And I mean, hell, he's held the NWA Heavyweight Championship in WCW. Why he never got the push in WWE or WWF at that time for the heavyweight title, I mean, is beyond me. But I think that'd be a 5-star match. Kenny Omega versus, prime Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or just Ricky Steamboat.
yeah, for sure. One of the things, like, I don't want to mention some of the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Sting versus Undertaker.
Hogan versus Austin.
Like those to me are like super obvious ones. One match I definitely would like to see, and it could probably really happen. This one I actually do see happening.
Who's that?
Hardy versus Darby.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Like, we're talking Jeff.
Yeah.
Versus Darby Allin. Like, that can totally happen. Like, that's definitely in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I
mean, hopefully Jeff doesn't lose his prime and his touch.
Right. I mean, we're talking Swanton Bomb versus, the back coffin drop. That would be good.
That's one definitely.
Nice.
That's probably like my number one for sure. So I'll probably go back with number one. Definitely, that's a match I definitely want to see. Another one I don't like. I wouldn't mind even seeing The Rock versus Sting.
The Rock versus Sting. Well, Sting in his prime. Yeah,
right.
You're
Sting
right.
in his prime, Rock in his prime.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking Sting back in mid '80s and the NWA days. Where he was tearing it up with Four Horsemen, guys like that, and he's done some battles with Ric Flair, right?
Yeah. Another one I wouldn't mind seeing, but it's definitely going to be a bloodbath, and it may not be everybody's favorite, but I'd probably say Dean Ambrose, crazy Dean Ambrose, versus Sandman.
Ah, that would be good.
That'd be a bloodbath.
When you said bloodbath, I actually thought you were going to say Dean Ambrose versus Mick Foley.
Yeah, I could that too. I mean,
but Sandman, yeah,
Sandman. I mean, Sandman's the one who came to my head at first. Definitely a bloodbath.
Not the best wrestler, but definitely insane.
Insane, and will take those bumps.
Yeah, and in fact, this past week on Friday Night SmackDown, Pat McAfee, came out to. He had the cane with, doing the whole thing with Sandman because they were in Philly,
Yeah.
doing a tribute to him. Nice.
So that's one for me. The other one I'd probably say, honestly, like I wouldn't mind. Let's go with a diva.
Okay.
Give me Lita versus Asuka.
Oh yeah, damn! I didn't even think about that.
Both great wrestlers.
Yeah.
Especially at the time where Lita, I mean, I feel bad because Lita only had a handful of wrestlers that she could wrestle at that time,
Yeah, like Trish, Jazz.
And how many times you want to see, like, you're going to see that,
right.
Like, I'm just tired of seeing it, but like, give me Asuka versus Lita. Asuka versus any of the old school divas. Asuka versus Trish. Asuka versus Victoria.
Asuka versus Jazz.
Yeah, I'll take any of those.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, Victoria still got it, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You know, I love Victoria as a wrestler. She was an excellent heel too.
yeah, really good heel. She was great in TNA.
Yeah.
Tara.
Mm-hmm. I loved her hamburger place that she had here, the Square Circle.
Oh yeah, I never went there.
I went there a few times. It was really good food.
Yeah.
Really good. But yeah, that's what I got for my top. You know, but Darby versus Jeff. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, and man, if we get Darby or Jeff on the show, what'd you say?
Yeah, either way, come on down.
Come on down. We got seats, man.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna write you both a letter.
And I'm gonna put the stamp on it.
So,
hey, we mentioned when we had mentioned last time the plane ride from hell, and we were talking about our good old boy JR. I was thinking about JR because I was watching a match the other day, and I'm watching. It was Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan, and man, JR just has some of the best commentating ever.
yeah,
I mean, just the shit that he says. I mean, it blows my mind away. So like, on the plane ride from hell, they're interviewing JR, and he's talking about Goldust when he was on the PA singing to, Terry Runnels. And he goes, man, I'll tell you what, that boy couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. And I'm like, who says some shit like that, But good old JR. So I'm watching this match, and he goes, oh, Kenny Omega, man, that boy's tougher than a $2 steak. And I'm like, well, for one, who the fuck's ordering a $2 steak? I mean, what does that even taste like? But yeah, you're right. That's got to be tough as shit, And then they hit a spot where Daniel Bryan, gets flipped and, hits his head on the mat. And he goes, oh, this boy went head first into the shallow end of the pool. And I'm like, what? So, but I mean, just JR with his sayings, man, and oh, it's gonna be a slobber knocker, or
why they do it now?
Oh no, yeah, oh that son of a bitch, there's a time where Undertaker faced Jeff Hardy on Monday Night Raw. This is back in 2002, and good old JR, he's like, climb the ladder, kid, make yourself famous. And I'm like, what?
That's one of my favorite Jeff Hardy matches of all time. For a wrestling term, I marked out.
Oh, yeah.
For that. Like when Jeff was climbing the ladder and he was touching the belt.
Right.
I was at home. I remember watching this like vividly. I stood up from my seat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I stood up. I was like, he's going to take it.
You and probably everybody at home.
Especially like, since I'm such a huge Jeff fan, that moment for me,
hell yeah,
was huge.
Right.
Like when they announced the match, I was like, "There's no way, Jeff's not winning that. Like he's not. Like he's not taking the strap. Like he's not."
Right.
But then when he climbed the ladder and touched the belt, I marked out, and I was like, "He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it." I stood up from my seat. Stood up. There ain't nobody around. It's just me.
Right.
I just stood up in my seat. I was like, no.
Hell yeah.
Well, I was like cheering him on, like saying no, like I couldn't believe it, but.
Yeah. That was kind of like, Jeff always gets a big pop, like when the Hardys returned at WrestleMania.
Yep.
WrestleMania 33, everybody at my house, you see we all like jumped out of our seats, right? But, man. Oh, and getting back to JR, another thing JR said, and I'm like, again, where does this guy come up with this shit? This is back King of the Ring, Undertaker versus Mankind. And he's like, as God is my witness, he is broken in half. And it's like, really? You think he's broken in half? I mean, no. Can you put them back together like Mr. Potato Head or what?
Humpty Dumpty?
Humpty Dumpty, right. But good old JR, man, he's a cool dude in person though.
Yeah, he's super cool. Yeah, he drops some one-liners on you too in person.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, Jr. You want to come on the show?
man, hell yeah. It'd be a slobber knocker.
Jr. At least subscribe, man. Come on.
Right.
So some of the best things that Jr. has also said, when he's all in shock for them heel turns.
My God, my God. Right?
Like, no, why'd you do it?
Right.
So, what are some of your top 5 heel turns?
Oh, top 5 heel turns. Let me see. So I'm going to start this one off. It was 2017, Tommaso Ciampa turning on Johnny Gargano. I mean, we're talking DIY. Those guys like tore it up in the ring. They had good battles with the Revival in NXT, and just to see Tommaso Ciampa, man, that dude plays an excellent heel. If he never, so to me, Tommaso Ciampa is kind of like Randy Orton. Randy Orton should only be a heel. Same way with Tommaso Ciampa. Number 4, we're talking the main event on Friday night, 1989. Macho Man turns on Hulk Hogan. I mean, we got these two right here, man. Hogan, he's helping out Miss Elizabeth, and Macho Man just, he smacks him, and then he just knocks him down and, pounds the shit on him. Number 3, WrestleMania 17. I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to mention WrestleMania 17, but that has to be one of the best WrestleManias ever, But WrestleMania 17, Stone Cold versus The Rock, and Stone Cold joins forces with Mr. McMahon.
Yep.
Vince gives Austin a chair, and Austin just beat the shit out of The Rock with this chair, and he got the title, Number 2, and everybody will agree this should either be a number 2 or a number 1. I put it as a number 2. This was a kick heard around the world back in 1991. Brutus Barber Beefcake, his show, The Barber Shop, and the Rockers break up. Shawn Michaels sweet chin kicks Marty Jannetty right through the glass plate on The Barber Shop, and man, 91. I mean, we were teenagers back then, so to see something like this, it's like jaw dropping, But for me, my number 1 spot on a heel turn would be, and if you're a big wrestling fan, and we go back to the 80s, you got to agree with this. Hulk Hogan joining the NWO, turning heel. I mean, this was a man, say your prayers, take your vitamins, blah blah blah, and sporting the red and the yellow, sporting the USA, yeah, he's all about USA and carrying that flag. And when he shows up, all the guys, this is what, Bash of the Beach, I believe. If not, leave a comment, correct me, but I'm pretty sure it was Bash of the Beach. And everybody's down, and these guys were supposed to have, special surprise tag team partner. And sure enough, Hogan, starts to beat up, the bad guys in the ring. I believe it was Macho Man, Luger, somebody else out there. But yeah, Hogan turning, sporting the black and white from the yellow and red. Well, I mean, what do you think about that?
Man, I just remember when everyone was throwing everything in the ring.
Man.
All the garbage and everything, they were pissed.
Paper cups and whatever they could launch.
Yeah. Man, I agree with that. That's up there. I don't remember when it happened, but I've seen all the replays and everything.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
96. Man, Hogan and the whole NWO, I mean, if that didn't shoot ratings alone, I don't know what did,
That's crazy.
Can you think of any other heel turns that like you really enjoyed or?
The one that remember when Trish turned on Jericho
Oh
and went with
yeah,
Christian.
yeah.
That one stands out for me a lot.
Okay.
I should have probably saw that one coming.
Yeah.
Definitely should have saw it coming. Um,
Oh, Trish was a great heel, right?
yeah, she was a great heel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another one. Because like a lot of times too, like they're always been heel. Like anytime you see Randy's face, you know he's gonna turn heel
Yeah.
any second.
I mean, it's inevitable. He's going to turn on Riddle. I mean, whether they got those titles still or not, he's going
Right,
to turn on them.
right, definitely. What about when Daniel Bryan turned heel?
Oh yeah, and join the Wyatt family. Yeah, that was crazy.
But that's crazy. Like that should have lasted a little longer than what it did.
Yeah, probably.
But it's crazy, man. What else? What else you got? What other topics you want to talk about with your top fives?
I don't know about top fives. We could probably throw some top fives. Save a couple more for next week. Um, oh, when you had mentioned about closing the book, I don't know if you want to tell that story about closing the book, and maybe we'll wrap it up with that.
Yeah. First, let's talk about some little unknown wrestlers. Remember, a lot of you probably don't remember this wrestler if you're newer to the wrestling game. Jimmy Wang.
Oh man,
Jimmy Yang Wang.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
So this is gonna be the first story, and then it's gonna segue into the second one for sure. But Jimmy signing autographs for us. We were just having a good time at the hotel.
Jimmy Wang Yang, by the way, man, he's a cool dude. Like super down to earth. If you've never met him,
Yeah, super cool.
nicest guy.
You know, he was funny. We were down. He was waiting in the lobby with us, and he looks at Jerry, and he's like, "Man, you look like Chavo."
Yeah. He proceeds to tell Victoria and like two other people, like basically anybody that was walking by that was a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, come here. Doesn't this guy look like Chavo?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he kind of does." And I'm like, "Really, dude?" You know. But
Yeah. So that leads me into my Chavo story.
oh, go for
Definitely trying to get Chavo's autograph in my encyclopedia because
Me
I got
too.
that encyclopedia. Jerry's got it. Tom's got it. James
James
got
got
like
it.
5 of them.
it. Yeah, 4 or 5,
Just trying to complete it, trying to get all the wrestlers that we can in that encyclopedia.
especially
Because, like,
while they're alive, right?
What also sucks is like you go to a show, you buy a program from the show, 6, 7 wrestlers already gone off that roster already.
Yeah.
That roster changes so much. So carry that encyclopedia with you everywhere. You could probably get almost everybody. So just trying to complete it. Especially me, I'm a completionist. I love to get everybody's
Same.
autograph.
Yeah, I want to get as many guys in there as I can too.
Yeah. So we try to get Chavo to get the autograph, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll sign for you guys. Let me just go to the bathroom. I'll come back." I'm like, "All right, cool." Like he's actually nice this time because he's known not to be nice.
Right, and you remember I stood there, with my book open.
Jerry got his book open. He comes
just like
back.
that.
And he's like, "You know what, guys? Let me tell you something." And I see Jerry just close the book.
It was a speech, and I go,
Yep, Jerry just closed the book, walked away. Basically, he just tells us that he's not here to sign, that we're not really Chavo fans. We're just fans to get autographs, and it's not fair because nobody's coming up with like a Chavo picture or a Chavo book. So he wasn't going to sign for us.
yeah, he was upset. He's like, you guys are just trying to get everybody that you can in that book, and it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's an encyclopedia. We collect autographs, so obviously your name is in the book. We want your autograph. obviously you don't want to give it to us. So instead of just saying no and moving on, you give us this whole speech about, oh, if you guys if you guys had a T-shirt with me on it or an action figure with me on it, but you guys just asking everybody to sign your book. Well, yeah, stupid. I mean, if again, just say no. Don't give. And yeah, when I saw the speech coming, I just closed the book and I'm like, yeah, I don't got time for this shit. And I saw James still hanging on, hanging on to hope, James, waiting for that autograph. And I think James did tell him, I got a picture of you.
Yeah, I think he got a picture signed because he had a picture of him signed and maybe some cards.
Right.
But
like he didn't sign anything for anybody. I mean, I saw him walking off. If James got something signed, then he lucked out. But I doubt he got that encyclopedia signed.
It's the last time I attempted.
Yeah,
I didn't try to get him again.
No,
I was done.
Even if I see the guy, come on the road or whatever. No, I
wouldn't even pay for him at a con.
No,
like, he's not worth it to me.
No, I wouldn't pay for him either. I mean, hell, I wouldn't ask him for free now. I'm definitely not going to pay for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's all we got. Thank you, everybody, again, for watching. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Definitely comment so we can go ahead and see what you guys liked about the show, what you didn't like. Take your feedback. If you want to be a guest on the show.
Right.
Josh is going to come back. Definitely, we cover some news. So watch us when we cover some news topics. Right. Talk about Nicki Minaj. I don't know if you heard this. Let me just cover this news topic real quick. Funny news topic. So Nicki Minaj says that she doesn't want to get the COVID vaccine.
Oh, why?
Because her cousin's friend knows a friend whose balls don't work because of the vaccine.
Well, I've gotten both COVID vaccines, and I guarantee you my balls still work. So, hey, Nicki Minaj, get the vaccine.
And she ain't even got balls.
Yeah, you don't have balls. Get the vaccine.
Unless you want to tell us something, Nikki.
Right. You playing pocket pool down there?
As Josh would say, you heard it here first. All right, everybody. Thanks.
Peace.